News: Wilbur Ross on shutdown is out of touch with reality, says David Bach. Commerce Secretary that government employees affected by the shutdown should simply take out personal loans to cover their expenses. That advice is around face the prospect of missing yet another paycheck Friday as each employee, hundreds are also turning to local food pantries and shelters to feed their families. One Chicago, Ross told CNBC he did get why federal employees would need to visit food banks. Workers could be visiting real banks instead, he said. They can't get their hands on $400 in case of emergency, he points out, while many in this type of situation, he says. While every bank and credit union has different lending policies, offers loans to those with credit scores as low as 525 US score that's considered very poor. If you fall below that, about 16% of Americans have very poor credit, or a score of between 300 to 579, and about poor credit. Some banks and credit unions are stepping up to provide relief, but federal workers with lower credit scores may have few options. Among the big nationals to give up to $500 interest-free cash advances to federal workers who use the company's PayPal PYPL credit service. The service is Meanwhile, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo are not offering loans but are waiving late and overdraft fees. Some of the more flexible options are from credit unions. For example, D is also offering interest-free loans of up to $6,000 for federal employees and contractors. The loans are for start with credit cards, says personal finance expert. The problem, if you are at your limit, you could try calling the credit card and explaining the situation. And if you're approved, if necessary, you could also consider taking a loan from your retirement account. The partial Like this story. Share this video. Data is a real-time snapshot. Data is delayed at least 15 minutes. Global business and financial news, stock quotes, and market data and analysis. Data also provided by 2019 CNBC LLC. All rights reserved. Your browser is not supported. The requested video is unable to play. The video does not exist in the system. We're not able to play this video if an ad blocker is enabled. Please disable your ad blocker on CNBC and reload the page to start the video.